Meanwhile, Republican House leaders say they're going to hold off on a possible vote on repealing House Bill 6 until after the election. That sweeping energy law that bails out nuclear power plants has been wrapped up in a federal racketeering investigation. With a potential repeal on hold, the corruption scandal has become a focal point in some legislative races this November. Statehouse correspondent Andy Chow reports.
Nearly 70 incumbents who voted for or against HB 6 last year are running for re-election to the Ohio House. Another 14 candidates running for Ohio Senate seats also have voting records on the law. It bailed out Ohio's 2 nuclear power plants with $1.3 billion in ratepayer subsidies. It also allows for hundreds of millions of dollars to be collected for 2 coal plants, another $20 million a year for solar farms. And it also cuts renewable energy standards and eliminates energy efficiency mandates. The blockbuster law led to a controversial referendum and anti-referendum campaign. But now it's at the heart of a federal bribery investigation, where prosecutors allege former House Speaker Larry Householder and other defendants illegally took in tens of millions of dollars from a utility widely believed to be First Energy in order to get the law passed. Dan Dodd is a Democratic former state representative who's now a State House consultant. He says with the House and Senate refusing to hold a vote to repeal HB 6 until after the election, the topic can become a main part of the campaign.
I think as you look to not only the November elections, but the lame duck session, I think members of the House and the Senate are in some ways going to see if there's an accountability issue that is connected to the November elections. Did people lose because they voted for it, or did they win and maybe they voted against it, and they're going to use that as part of their campaigns?
Republican Representative Bill Seitz is one of the bill's most ardent supporters. He says no matter what investigators allege about the process of HB 6, the policy is still sound. A main argument Seitz makes for keeping HB 6 are the cuts it makes to the clean energy mandates. He says that results in a net reduction on electric bills.
I think we may do something in lame duck, but I do not think it will be an outright repeal. And I personally am going to advocate against a repeal and replace, because if we do that, the replacement itself would be subject to a new possible referendum, and we do not need a repeat of that goat rodeo when there are much better ways to improve the accountability that is required for the nuclear subsidies to be paid and to continue.
The effect HB 6 has on the bottom line of electric bills is up to debate. Some studies show the bill ends up saving ratepayers money, while other analysis argue the energy efficiency standards that were cut actually ended up saving customers money in the long run. Dodd says the longer it takes for the legislature to make a move on a potential repeal, the less likely it'll happen at all.
If it gets held over till next session, I think it's going to essentially put more pressure on folks to make the case for either repeal and replace or replace it altogether.
Seitz, who is said to be considering a run as House Speaker in the new year, is making the case for why HB 6 should remain intact because he says it's not tainted by the investigation.
Well, I don't know why anybody would want to repeal a $2.3 billion rate cut. To me, I think it was the culmination of many, many years of policies that I personally have pursued long before Larry Householder came back to the House. So I think it's a good bill.
Meanwhile, a grassroots campaign to build opposition to the bailout is spreading, with these Repeal HB 6 Now signs popping up around the state. Supporters say these signs are being made and distributed by a private citizen not connected to an organization. A broad coalition including free market conservative groups, environmental advocates, and faith-based organizations has formed to support a repeal. Political ads and mailers have made HB 6 an issue in legislative campaigns, accusing both Republicans and Democratic candidates of voting for the bailout that led to the scandal. Some mailers even try to connect candidates to the scandal, even when they didn't vote for the bill or weren't even in office to do so. But the real impact it might have on House and Senate races remains to be seen. Andy Chow, Statehouse News Bureau.